Good day everyone, I'm Alexandra Nicole Velasco from BSHM 2B. The first artist that I choose is Vincent William van Gogh. Vincent William van Gogh was a Dutch post-impressionist artist who emerged as one of the most famous figures in the history of Western after his death. In only a decade, Van Gogh created a prolific body of more than 2,000 works of arts. One of the most famous artwork of Van Gogh is the Starry Night. It is an oil-on canvas painting by the Dutch post-impressionist painter Vincent van Gogh. Painted in June 1889, it depicts the view from east-facing window of his asylum room at Saint-Remy-de-Provence, just before sunrise, with the addition of an imaginary village. The second artist that I choose is Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci was a true genius who graced this world with his presence from April 15, 1452 to May 2, 1519. He is among the most influential artists in history, having left a significant legacy not only in the realm of art but in science as well, each discipline informing his mastery of the other. Da Vinci lived in the golden age of creativity among such contemporaries as Raphael and Michelangelo and contributed his unique genius to virtually everything he touched. One of the artworks of Leonardo is The Last Supper. It is a Renaissance masterpiece, though it is one which has struggled to survive intact over the centuries. It was commissioned by Duke Lodovico Sforza for the refectory of monastery of Santa Maria del Grazie in Milan, and in order to paint it, Leonardo used an oil tempera mix and applied it to a drywall.
Good day everyone, I am Abigail Cagande from BSHM 2B. The first artist that I choose is Juanito Torres. Juanito Torres is a contemporary social realist painter who works in realism. He is known for his enormous painting of human characters in the setting of Filipino history. Juanito Torres attending the Philippine High School for the Arts in Los Baños, Laguna, where he received the Outstanding Visual Arts Award in 1994 before enrolling as a fine art student at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. One of his famous artwork is Gathering of Heroes, created by Juanito Torres. This famous art in the Philippines depicts key figures in Philippine history, including those part of 19th century Philippine movement. This beautiful piece commemorates all the Filipino heroes who lived and died for our nation. Among these heroes are Andres Bonifacio, Melchora Aquino, Jose Rizal, Antonio Luna, Emilio Jacinto, and Emilio Aguinaldo. The second artist that I choose is Anita Magsaysay Ho, was a Filipino artist best known for her social realist and post-cubic depictions of Filipino life and culture, most notably and regularly portraying groups of women at work. She was born on May 25, 1914 in Manila, Philippines. The Three Women in a Landscape is one of her most famous paintings for sale Philippines. Her artwork can be found in museums such as the Metropolitan Museum of the Manila and the Ateneo Art Gallery in Manila, Philippines. She portrays women with high cheekbones, slanted eyes, and lovely morena skin, surrounded by nature, working crops, selling fish, or gathering grain.
Good day everyone, I am Jobet M. Mendoza from BSHM 2B. The artist that I choose is Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci was an Italian polymath of the High Renaissance who was active as a painter, engineer, scientist, theorist, sculptor, and architect. He was born at April 15, 1452 and died on May 9, 1519. Leonardo is identified as one of the greatest painters in the history of art and is often credited as the founder of the High Renaissance. His famous artwork is Mona Lisa. It is a representation of idea of happiness that the Italian word Gioconda indicates. This sense of joy served as Leonardo's inspiration for the portrait and is what gives it its ideal quality. The landscape features also important.
Hey everyone, I am Robert F. Base Jr. from BSHM2B. The artist that I choose is Pablo Picasso. Pablo Picasso was an innovative artist who experimented and innovated during his 92 plus years on Earth. He was not only a master painter but also a sculptor, printmaker, ceramics artist, etching artist, and writer. His work matured from the naturalism of his childhood through Cubism, Surrealism, and beyond, shaping the direction of modern and contemporary art through the decades. Picasso lived through two world wars, cared for children, appeared in films, and wrote poetry. He died in 1973. One of the most famous artwork of Pablo Picasso is the Cubism. Pablo Picasso's Cubism, period 1909 to 1912. Analytical Cubism is one of the two major branches of the artistic movement of Cubism and was developed between 1908 and 1912. In contrast to synthetic Cubism, analytic Cubists analyze natural form and reduce the forms into basic geometric parts on the two-dimensional picture plane. Color was almost non-existent except for the use of monochromatic scheme that often included gray, blue, and ochre instead of the emphasis on color. Analytic cubists focus on forms like the cylinder, sphere, and the cone to represent the natural world.
Claude Monet. He was born on November 14, 1840, Paris, France, but he died at December 5, 1926, Giverny. He was a French painter who was an initiator, leader, and unswerving advocate of Impressionist style. In his mature works, Monet developed his method, producing repeated studies of the same motif in series, changing canvases with the light or as his interest shifted. His painting or artworks. First is Woman with a Parasol, Madame Monet and Her Son, painted at in 1875. Woman with a Parasol, painted outdoors, probably in a single session of several hours. And the artist intended the work to convey the feeling of a casual family outing rather than a formal portrait, and use pose and replacement or placement to suggest that his wife and son interrupted their stroll while he captured their likeness. The brevity of the moment portrayed here is conveyed by repertory of animated brushstrokes of vibrant colors. Hallmarks of the style, Monet was instrumental in forming, and bright sunlight shines from behind to Camille, whiten the top of her parasol and the flowing cloth at her back, while colored reflections from the windflowers or wildflowers below touch her front with some yellow colors. And next is the Impression Sunrise, painted in 1872. This famous painting, Impression Sunrise, was created from a scene in the port of Le Havre. The orange and yellow hues contrast brilliantly with the dark vessels, where little, if any, detail is immediately visible to the audience. It is striking and candid work, and that shows the smaller boats in the foreground almost being propelled along by the movement of the water. This has once again been achieved by separate brushstrokes that also show various colors sparkling on the sea. Despite its notoriety, the painting is some ways untypical of Monet's own work of this period and of Impressionism. More generally, it shows little of the Impressionist treatment of light and color. The colors are very restrained, and the paint is applied in the discrete brushstrokes of contrasting colors, but in very thin washes. In some places, the canvas is even visible, and the only use in the impasto is in the depiction of the reflected sunlight of the water. The painting is strongly atmospheric rather than um, analytical and has a spirit somewhat akin to Turner's works. Nevertheless, it does illustrate particularly well one of the features of an impressionist that was thought so revolutionary. The technique is very sketchy and would have been seen as preliminary study for a painting rather than a finished work suitable for exhibition.
Good day. My name is John Marlon Dilim Simpson from BSHM 2B. This is the first artwork called The Blind Man's Mill, 1903. The one of the most Picasso's Blue Period canvases, this work is remarkable restatement of the Christian sacrament and the ritual of tasting bread and wine, to evoke the flesh and blood of Christ in contemporary terms. The artist of this work is Pablo Picasso. And the second one is the birth of Venus. The painting showcased the birth of the goddess Venus arriving the base ashore on the island of Cyprus conceived in a seashell. She is pushed by the breezes, zipper, and maybe aura. The goddess is met by a young lady who is in some cases is recognized as one of the graces or the Hora of spring, and she holds out a shroud to ready to cover the Venus. Alessandro de Mariano Divani Filippi, known as Sandro Botticelli, was an Italian painter of the early Renaissance.